In 2024, an 18-year-old college freshman secretly ran his father's presidential campaign. He never gave a speech, never appeared at rallies. But Barron Trump flipped 4 million votes using TikTok, Twitch, and a gold Cybertruck. While campaign managers spent $280 million on TV ads, Barron hired his NYU classmates to make memes. This is the story of how the quietest Trump became the most powerful one. It all started on March 20th, 2006, inside a private room at New-York-Presbyterian Hospital. Melania Trump was going through an exhausting 8-hour labor, but Donald Trump wasn't there. He had planned not to be. While most fathers waited nervously outside or stood beside their partner, Trump was in the hospital's executive lounge, talking business on the phone. One hospital staff member said he told his team it would be easier for everyone if he stayed out of the way. Melania, meanwhile, was surrounded only by doctors, nurses, and her mother. The delivery wasn't smooth. There were complications. Still, Trump stayed out until after Barron was safely born. When he finally entered the room, he acted like a photographer at a press event, posing for pictures more than bonding with his son. It left an impression on everyone there. Even later, family insiders would say that moment revealed the kind of father he would be, visible for the big moments, absent when things got tough. But the tension didn't stop there. Just hours before Barron was born, Trump tried to change the baby's name. For 9 months, Melania had lovingly referred to the unborn child as Barron. She had even filled the nursery with items labeled with the letter B. But out of nowhere, Trump suggested calling him Donald Jr. Jr. or even Trump Jr. Melania pushed back hard, even while in early labor. She said the baby already reacted to the name Barron in the womb, kicking every time she said it. Barron wasn't just a name, it meant something to her. Young nobleman, warrior, something strong and elegant. Eventually, Melania won, but it showed how strong her will was and how complicated even the most personal decisions could be in that family. 2 months later, on May 23, 2006, Barron was introduced to the world, not through a quiet family photo, but on national television. He appeared on The Oprah Winfrey Show, one of the youngest children ever to do so. This wasn't a casual visit. It was carefully planned. Trump's media team had arranged everything. Oprah held the baby while the show discussed Trump's empire. But the baby wasn't just there for a moment of warmth. He was part of a brand move. Barron wore a $1,200 Armani baby suit, complete with tiny cufflinks with the Trump crest. The family brought 3 nannies, a personal photographer, and even a baby wardrobe consultant. Trump insisted on camera angles that showed Barron's best side. The message was clear. This child was going to be famous, and his life would be documented like a PR campaign. Even the numbers around Barron's birth created buzz. He was born at 8:47 p.m. He weighed 8 pounds, 8 ounces, triple eights. In Chinese numerology, 8 is the symbol for wealth and endless success. Trump reportedly became obsessed with those numbers. Some believed it was a sign Barron was destined for greatness. His birthday also fell on the spring equinox, when day and night are perfectly balanced. People who believed in signs and meanings said this couldn't be a coincidence. Melania, with her European roots and love for astrology, was rumored to have planned her pregnancy around these ideas. She even followed strict routines, trying to influence the timing and weight of the birth. The result? A rare sequence of numbers that people would later call a power code. But it wasn't just numbers that caught attention. From the moment Barron was born, Melania started calling him Little Donald. Nurses said the newborn had a strong, intense gaze, like he was sizing people up. He didn't cry like other babies either. His crying came in sharp bursts, followed by long, loud sounds, much like the rhythm of Trump's speeches. By 6 weeks, Barron had a signature scowl, just like his father's, with tight lips and a wrinkled brow. He liked mirrors. He liked gold. He fussed when ignored. It was like watching a tiny version of the man himself. Even Trump joked that Barron was his genetic masterpiece. Family members said it wasn't just about looks. It was behavior, too. He wanted to be the center of attention. He had presence, even as a baby. His presence extended to his living space. While most kids have a bedroom, Barron had a kingdom. The entire 58th floor of Trump Tower, over 10,000 square feet, was redesigned just for him. Gold-plated everything. Italian marble, views of Central Park that most billionaires dream about. The renovation cost $25 million. His bed had Egyptian cotton sheets that cost $2,000 per set. He had themed rooms, a basketball court, a tech center with the latest games, and even a private movie theater. This wasn't just comfort. It was a world built just for him, a place where regular childhood didn't exist. And then there were the walls. In 2012, when Barron was 6, Melania gave him permission to draw on them. Not just a wall or two. 3 full playrooms were transformed with washable, artist-grade wall panels. Each room cost $50,000 to prepare. She even hired photographers to document his wall art over the years. By the time he outgrew the phase, Melania spent another $30,000 preserving his best work. She had sections of the walls removed, framed, and archived. Most kids get told, "Don't draw on the walls." Barron's walls became art galleries. His childhood creativity wasn't just tolerated, it was celebrated. His creativity took another shape with Legos. But this wasn't your average Lego pile. Barron's Lego collection, by age 8, was worth over $100,000. He built an entire Manhattan skyline, scaled, lit, with working elevators and trains. It took 18 months and 250,000 pieces. He had a custom storage system with 47 drawers. Even Lego executives flew in to see it. They said his builds were better than many adults. He kept blueprints. He logged construction progress. By age 12, he had recreated Trump Tower, complete with working elevators and floor layouts that matched the real building. He wasn't just building, he was designing like a developer. That kind of precision showed up in his next obsession: helicopters. It started small, with toy choppers. But by age 4, he had over 200 remote-controlled helicopters. Some were worth $15,000 each. He didn't just fly them, he studied them. By age 8, he was using pilot training software made for the military. Melania hired real helicopter pilots to teach him, paying $500 per hour. His room eventually had 3 full-size simulators worth over $2 million. By age 10, Barron logged over 50 hours of supervised helicopter flying. He didn't just love flying, he understood how helicopters worked, inside and out. Experts who trained him said he had a rare grasp of flight dynamics. Even the FAA was aware of his unusual access to aircraft. While the world watched his every move, one part of Barron's life stayed hidden for years: his language skills. From 2017 to 2021, his grandparents lived with him in Trump Tower. They only spoke Slovenian with him. At home, he was immersed in a European world. By age 10, he was reading Slovenian poetry most adults struggled with. In French, Melania had hired a top professor from the Sorbonne. He charged $300 per hour and taught Barron every day. Barron wrote essays, read literature, and held long conversations with relatives in Europe. He even acted as a translator in private family meetings. Professors in Slovenia reviewed his writing without knowing who he was and praised his poetry. His command of 2 European languages was deeper than most adults. It was as if he was being prepared for something far beyond a typical American life. When Donald Trump became president in January 2017, most of his family moved to Washington, but not Melania and Barron. They stayed in New York City. Barron was still in school, and Melania wanted him to finish the year before moving. That decision ended up costing taxpayers a lot, over $24 million. Every day, the NYPD had to protect Trump Tower while Melania and Barron lived there. It wasn't cheap. It cost about $308,000 each day from Election Day in 2016 to Inauguration Day in 2017. Even after Donald Trump moved into the White House, daily protection for Melania and Barron in New York ran between $127,000 and $146,000. To put it in perspective, that's more than the entire summer security budget for Trump's golf club in New Jersey. People were angry, especially because, at the same time, the Trump administration was proposing cuts to education programs, over $7 million slashed from international education. Meanwhile, just keeping Melania and Barron in Manhattan for 6 months cost enough to fund 2 years of humanities scholarships at the Woodrow Wilson Center. Traffic around Trump Tower was a nightmare. New Yorkers called it a security apocalypse. That chapter finally ended on June 11th, 2017, when Barron's school year finished. But before they moved to D.C., Barron pulled off something surprising. In May 2017, he invited all 80 of his 5th grade classmates from Columbia Grammar to visit the White House. It was more than just a tour. They got a private walkthrough, ate lunch, and stayed overnight at a hotel in D.C. Secret Service agents and teachers chaperoned the whole thing. The kids wore khakis and button-downs. President Trump even gave them a short talk, telling them to live up to their potential. Getting them from New York to D.C. safely was no small task. The cost likely topped $500,000. A 60-mile stretch had to be secured, with Secret Service planning every move. It was Barron's way of saying goodbye before starting a new chapter. Just a few weeks later, he enrolled at a new school in Maryland, St. Andrew's Episcopal School. That decision made headlines too. For decades, every presidential child had gone to Sidwell Friends School. It was practically tradition. Chelsea Clinton, Sasha, and Malia Obama, they all went there. But in 2017, Barron became the first presidential child in 35 years to skip Sidwell. Instead, he joined St. Andrew's, a smaller school with just 580 students. It wasn't as famous. The most notable graduate was a grandson of President Zachary Taylor from the 1850s. The Trump team kept the school choice quiet at first. They didn't want protests. But when the news got out, people started asking questions, especially about the cost. Tuition was $40,000 a year. At the same time, the Trump administration was proposing $18 billion in cuts to public education. Critics saw the contrast, but Melania defended the decision. She said Barron needed a school that respected his independence. The tuition was paid out of pocket by the Trumps, but it still raised eyebrows. After all, the White House is public housing, funded by taxpayers. And here was the president's son, getting a premium education most American kids couldn't afford. Public schools in D.C. cost about $11,500 per year. Barron's school had a 10-to-1 student-teacher ratio, Mandarin language classes, and a no-cut sports rule, meaning any kid could join the team. Still, being the president's son came with risks. The Secret Service had to patrol the 19-acre campus around the clock. Every student and staff member signed non-disclosure agreements. No one had ever done that before at a school for a president's child. That didn't stop Barron from joining the soccer team. From 2017 to 2018, he played with DC United's U12 Development Academy. It was an elite squad that trained future pros. He wore jersey number 81 and played 4 matches at RFK Stadium's smaller fields. But everything was different for him. Agents acted like assistant coaches. Opponents' families were screened. Team travel was done in bulletproof SUVs. The Secret Service even ran background checks on rival players. He didn't score any goals, and he didn't get much playtime, but the pressure wasn't normal. Teammates remembered how agents took their phones to stop photos. Some games, like the ones against PA Classics, even required FBI threat checks. Barron's soccer journey ended in 2018. Melania pulled him out after a serious scare, a failed assassination attempt on Donald Trump. She feared a copycat might go after their son. Barron Trump's high school years were nothing like the average teen experience. From 2021 to 2024, he studied at Oxbridge Academy in Florida, but not under his real name. He was known as Jack. That name wasn't just a nickname, it was part of a strict security plan. Melania Trump made sure her son stayed out of the spotlight. Even though classmates and teachers knew who he really was, official records said Jack. Every roll call, every sports roster, every login on school computers used that name. Substitute teachers would sometimes call out Jack during attendance, causing awkward moments. The alias wasn't just for class. Barron played soccer, but the team list never showed his real name. His mother wanted full control over how much of his life went public. She even asked staff to remove his name from any documents that outsiders could see. No other presidential child had ever gone through such intense efforts to stay hidden. Not Chelsea Clinton, not Sasha and Melania Obama. His life at school felt more like a diplomat's schedule. Secret Service agents never left his side. They followed him to the bathroom and waited outside the door. They stood in hallways during class changes. After a 911 call triggered a lockdown at a nearby Publix in 2023, his agents reacted instantly. They rushed him into a safe room within minutes. Every hallway movement was timed. He'd leave class a few minutes early to avoid crowds. While other students hung out freely, Barron's social life was carefully managed. Security always came first. That kind of control didn't exist even for Melania Obama during her college days. Then came his senior year, and a mystery that left classmates puzzled. When the 2024 yearbook came out, Barron wasn't in it. He had posed for group photos. He had joined senior events, but every picture had been edited to erase him. Some showed empty spots where he had once stood. Staff later confirmed Melania had demanded this. Teachers had to sign NDAs that blocked them from even mentioning Barron's name. He wasn't on the honor roll, even though he excelled in science. There was no mention of his achievements. Meanwhile, other wealthy students, like the Koch family heirs, were openly celebrated. Teachers couldn't talk about him, not even with other parents. Any slip could cost them their job. Parent-teacher meetings were monitored by the Secret Service. Even janitors and cafeteria staff had to sign legal agreements to stay quiet. One teacher admitted that lesson plans were screened for any political topics tied to the Trump family. Students working on group projects were told not to include Barron. All this created a strange, silent bubble around him. He was there, but invisible. Lunchtime only deepened the mystery. Every day, Barron sat with friends in the cafeteria, but he never ate, not a bite. His lunchbox? Always empty. He waited until he was back home at Mar-a-Lago to have his meals. Some students guessed it was about food safety, maybe allergies, maybe even poison threats. That theory gained weight after a teacher was arrested in 2023 for threatening Barron's life. Secret Service agents sometimes tested the cafeteria food, but Barron never ate it anyway. It reminded some people of how presidents avoid public meals to reduce risk. The way Barron carried himself was different too. Friends said he avoided attention. He didn't like being in the spotlight. He spoke quietly, never acted like the son of a president. But the truth was always there, in the agents, in the rules, in the gaps left in the yearbook pages. His high school life was designed to look normal, but everything around him said otherwise. Barron Trump was just 18, a freshman at New York University. But by the time the 2024 election was over, insiders were calling him the digital mastermind behind his father's campaign. His biggest move came on October 25th. That's when he got Donald Trump on the Joe Rogan Experience, a 2-hour and 47-minute interview on one of the world's most popular podcasts. On YouTube alone, Rogan had 17.5 million subscribers. Spotify, another 14.5 million listeners. But it wasn't just about views. Barron knew Rogan's audience, men aged 25 to 34, exactly the group they needed. While Trump's advisors dismissed the podcast, Barron kept pushing. He told his father that CNN and Fox were done. He said, going on, Rogan could flip over 4 million undecided male voters. And he was right. Within 48 hours, the interview hit 33 million views and 1.7 million likes on YouTube. That crushed Trump's old town hall numbers from 2020, which averaged just 3.2 million. Even more surprising, exit polls. Rogan's under 35 listeners voted 62% for Trump, a 21-point jump from 4 years earlier. But Barron had one more trick. Behind the scenes, he got UFC boss Dana White to push Rogan into doing the interview. White had backstage access at UFC 309 in Vegas just days before. It worked. Then came the Nelk Boys. Barron set it all up. On October 14th, the YouTube pranksters rolled into Mar-a-Lago with a Tesla Cybertruck. It was decked out in MAGA logos and came with a $48,000 gold Rolex. Trump loved it. The 29-minute video that followed showed him laughing, joking, even reacting to a fake dog meat prank aimed at Kamala Harris. In just 3 days, the clip pulled in 18 million views. Old-school GOP leaders were horrified, but Barron had a plan. Nelk had 6.3 million followers and a grip on the college crowd. He sent marketing vans to 37 universities in key states. The result? Trump's support among young men aged 18 to 24 jumped from 41% in 2020 to 53% in 2024. And the Cybertruck? Paid for by Barron himself. He liquidated $2.1 million worth of crypto from his own company, World Liberty Financial, using a coin he launched called Trump Coin. But that was just the beginning. On August 19th, Barron pulled off something no one in politics had ever tried: a live stream with Twitch star Aiden Ross. From the Gold Ballroom at Mar-a-Lago, Trump sat down for 94 minutes with one of the internet's biggest names. The stream peaked at 550,000 viewers, a new record. Barron had coached his father before the broadcast. He told him to talk about Minecraft and GTA 6 leaks. It worked. The audience, mostly under 25, connected instantly. Then came the twist. Live on air, Aiden gifted Trump a $250,000 MAGA Cybertruck, another Barron setup. It trended online for almost 2 days straight. Donations poured in, $4.8 million, mostly from young donors. In Philadelphia, 17% of young men said this stream made them vote Trump. That was enough to flip the state. By now, Barron wasn't just helping. He was running a digital revolution. He tore apart the old campaign strategy. No more TV ads. The $280 million budget was rerouted. Instead of commercials, Barron put money into TikTok stars, crypto giveaways, and viral stunts. At one Miami Heat game, Trump was filmed shooting hoops with influencer Kai Cenat. That moment alone brought in tens of millions of views. Barron's biggest investment? Memes. He hired 14 classmates from NYU's Stern School to launch a meme war room. They studied 4chan threads, made pro-Trump memes, and launched them like missiles. Their Dark Brandon series, Trump as a laser-eyed crypto king, hit 2.1 billion views. It raised Trump's popularity among young men by 19 points. By the end, the numbers didn't lie. The Republican Party, which had given up on young voters, suddenly had 56% of men aged 18 to 29 in their corner. Barron wasn't done. He took it even deeper. While everyone else focused on Facebook, Barron tracked gaming chats, Twitch comments, and Telegram groups. He found that 62% of young male gamers talked politics on those platforms, not on the news. So he launched the Esports surge. Trump's campaign sponsored Call of Duty tournaments. Each one offered $500,000 in prize money, but only if players registered to vote. Barron even used Spotify Wrapped data. If someone listened to Rogan or Andrew Tate, they got hit with geo-targeted Trump ads. The result? A 14% increase in young male voter turnout in Arizona, Georgia, and Wisconsin. And behind it all was money. A lot of it. Barron's crypto company, World Liberty Financial, wasn't just for memes and gifts. It processed $28 million in anonymous political donations using Monero, a privacy-based coin. That part of the operation is now under federal investigation. But by then, the job was done. Barron Trump had rewritten the campaign rulebook, not with speeches or debates, but with Twitch, TikTok, Cybertrucks, and memes. He didn't act like a political consultant. He acted like a content creator. At just 18 years old, Barron Trump made a surprising move. While the world expected him to attend the Republican National Convention with his father, he had other plans. On July 15, 2024, Barron quietly launched a company called Trump, Fulture, and Roxborough Capital Inc., or TFRC for short. He didn't do it alone. He teamed up with his high school friend Cameron Roxburgh and a 19-year-old named Carter Fulture, whose family runs a major luxury real estate firm in Idaho. They chose Wyoming for the company's registration, a state known for privacy and low taxes. The timing was bold. Just 2 days earlier, Barron's father, Donald Trump, survived an assassination attempt at a Pennsylvania rally, but instead of staying in the shadows, Barron moved forward with his business. His goal was clear: focus on high-end real estate in fast-growing states like Utah, Arizona, and Idaho, far from his father's usual East Coast turf. To fund the company, they even created a Solana-based cryptocurrency token called TFRC. It reached a market cap of just under $4,000. While small, it showed Barron was trying to mix old money with new tech. But the company didn't last long. At least, not at first. Just 4 months later, on November 14, 2024, TFRC was dissolved. It wasn't a collapse. It was strategy. The decision came only 9 days after Donald Trump was re-elected. Co-founder Cameron Roxburgh admitted they shut things down to avoid the chaos of the political spotlight. News was starting to leak out, especially about the company listing Mar-a-Lago, the Trump family estate, as its address. That triggered concerns about conflicts of interest. By pausing the business, Barron avoided deeper scrutiny. He planned to relaunch in the spring of 2025 once the political noise died down. It was a smart move. In fact, it reminded some of how his father had delayed lawsuits against Trump University during his 2016 campaign. Barron, still a teenager, was already playing a high-level reputation game. His next move? Expanding west. TFRC set its sights on Utah, where the average home cost had jumped 11.5% year-over-year to over $641,000. Salt Lake City was booming, with luxury estates in Ogden selling for more than $1 billion. In Arizona, prices were rising every month, and the tech scene in Phoenix created new opportunities. Idaho offered a unique chance to turn an old golf course into a $46.78 million residential community. This wasn't guesswork. Carter Fulture's family was already developing a huge luxury site there, 107 acres in all. What made this even more impressive was Barron's clear decision to do things his own way. He wasn't just copying the Trump organization's playbook. He was building something new. The company's projects avoided New York and Florida and focused on areas his father had mostly ignored. By using his partner's local ties, Barron could move fast in these Western markets. Still, there was one connection he didn't let go of. Mar-a-Lago. TFRC listed the Palm Beach estate as its main address, even though the Trump family company owned and operated it. Barron didn't take any money from the Trump organization, but using the address sent a strong message. It helped him borrow the Trump brand's weight without being tied down by it. That came with risks. Mar-a-Lago had been under federal investigation for being used to store classified documents. But Barron didn't seem worried. In fact, plans were already in motion to build a massive 7,000-square-foot mansion on his Bedminster property in New Jersey. It was held in his name through a trust. He wasn't just using family fame, he was investing in it, and he had the money to do it. Unlike his older siblings, Barron chose not to rely on Trump Organization funds. His personal net worth is estimated at $80 million. That includes $19 million in real estate at Bedminster, another $27 million in other properties, $5 million in stock from tech giants like Alphabet and Amazon, and an $11 million mansion in Palm Beach. That house alone backed his TFRC projects financially. Even the crypto side of the business showed ambition. They had nearly 1 billion TFRC tokens in circulation, which pointed to a modern way of raising capital. Cameron Roxburgh had a background in blockchain, while Carter Fulture brought in family experience with high-end housing. Donald Trump, according to insiders, gave Barron advice, but no money.